Alrighty, so today I have the pleasure of speaking with retired Tennessee Highway Patrol Captain Michael Melhorn. Captain Melhorn is also a veteran, served in the United States Army, and currently does a little bit of protection work today. So thank you again for being here with me today. I'm super excited to hear a little bit more about your experiences and your career and just kind of what you've learned along the way.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Great. So you spent, I believe, 28 years with Tennessee Highway Patrol.
That's correct.
So almost 3 decades. That's a long time. So I have to know, what inspired you to pursue a career in law enforcement, or did anything kind of push you in that direction?
I always want to make a change, a positive change. So I'll take you way back, 18 years old. I graduated high school. 2 weeks later, I ended up attending the Correctional Officers Academy at 18 years old, barely
Wow.
18 years old. So once I completed that, I started my career at a state prison, barely 18 years old,
Oh my goodness.
working at a state prison. So I kind of got a feel for that, and listening to some of the inmates and their stories. They're not all bad people. They just have made some really bad choices.
Sure.
So I think that was a driving force for me to get into law enforcement. I could see the other side. I could see their side of things. But at the time, like I said, I was just 18 years old. So I
Right.
couldn't join the highway patrol. I was too young, just a baby.
Mhm.
So in order to be a trooper, one of the qualifications is you have to be 21 years old. So I'm thinking, what can I do to get into law enforcement? So the first thing I thought of, the United States Army.
Mhm.
So I joined the Army a year after I spent in corrections, and joined the Army. I signed up to be a military police officer. So I signed up for 5 years, and my first duty station was upstate New York, one of the coldest places
Oh,
I'd ever
wow.
been in my
Yeah.
entire life. So with military police, you have different aspects. Some military police are assigned to places like, sort of like Oak Ridge Nuclear Facility.
Yeah, sure.
And that's where I did my first duty station, was upstate New York, Seneca Army Depot. I kind of got a taste for law enforcement there, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
But I wanted more. I wanted to get into true law enforcement,
Yeah.
and not just the security aspect.
Sure.
So while I was there, I put in for military police investigation school. And that school was about 4 months long, so I had to go to Fort McClellan, Alabama. Spent 4 months there going through MPI school, military police investigation school. After I left there, I ended up going to my first duty station was Germany, where I worked military police investigations. Just small cases, not anything large.
Yeah.
But while I was there, I wanted to get into executive protection work, which military police investigations conduct security for high-profile clients.
Okay.
I say clients, most of your general officers, people like that. So
Yeah.
I went back to Fort McClellan, Alabama. I went through not investigator school, but protection school, military police investigations, or protection school, I'm sorry. So it's called Protective Services Division. So once I completed that training, I went back to Germany, and I was assigned to 7th Corps, provided security for General Franks. He was the 7th Corps commander. And then from there, I deployed to the first Gulf War. So I got a taste of that, unfortunately. So I spent my 5 years in the Army, where I'd worked protection services, military police investigations. So I hit just about every aspect.
Yeah.
So again, I wanted more, and now I'm 21 years old. I can join the Highway Patrol. So I put in my application, went through the process, got selected, and went through 6 months at the academy in Nashville, and graduated as a trooper.
Wow. Very cool.
So that's kind of how I got started in
Yeah.
law enforcement.
So you've kind of been all over a little bit, for sure. Talking about one thing you said that stood out to me was you saying that really being in the prisons, you kind of got to see the other side of things and really connect with people. Was there anything that you can recall that kind of maybe a moment in your career, or you got to help somebody that kind of almost reminded you why you started in the first place?
There was an individual, I won't mention his name, but I would say he had IQ, a very low IQ.
Mm-hmm.
He was mentally impaired,
Yeah,
to put it bluntly.
right.
But this guy was in population. This guy had been arrested for stealing batteries.
Oh my goodness.
He didn't steal just one or two batteries. This guy was
Right.
stealing a lot of batteries. But anyway, he was put in prison for stealing batteries, and he was put in general population, and he was taken advantage of by many, many inmates.
Yeah,
They would rob him, that kind of thing.
yeah,
So finally, I talked to my shift supervisor and said, "Hey, we need to put this guy in a different class, reclassify him, and put him in a protection unit."
yeah,
So I just felt terrible for the guy, but he was thrown in the mix with everybody else.
right.
And I've always had a want or a need to protect people.
Mm-hmm.
That's just who I am.
Yeah.
You know, I got that from my mom. So yeah. But yeah, that's one of the things that stood out to me. Another thing that stood out to me was I was only there maybe 3 or 4 months, and I had a new inmate enter my pod. And these pods consisted of a housing unit of about 60 inmates. Well, I had 2 rooms that were vacant, so I knew I was getting a new, probably a couple of new inmates. Well, the first one that came in was one of my friends from grade school
Wow.
that had been put in the penitentiary for second-degree murder.
Wow.
So now, here I am, 18 years old, guarding one of my best friends from grade school for
Yeah.
killing another guy.
Yeah.
So, needless to say, he was taken advantage of as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That's a
Wasn't-
lot to witness for
It
sure.
is, and there
Yeah.
wasn't much I could do for him because I didn't want the other inmates to know that I knew him, and of course he didn't want them to know he knew me either.
Right. Yeah.
It wouldn't be good for him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Wow, that's amazing. So you kind of mentioned how you kind of have always had that almost heart for service and kind of want to protect people, and you really always knew that you wanted to pursue law enforcement from the jump. Did you really envision yourself holding such a high leadership position, or was that, something that you kind of just climbed the ladder on your way? Or, did that just kind of develop as you went on? Because I know you kind of mentioned that you had wanted originally to pursue law enforcement, but how did that kind of unfold for you?
I set goals.
Yeah.
Sometimes it may be very lofty goals, but my goal was to move up as far as I could possibly move up, and that's what I set out to do. So my goal was to retire as a major at the time. I didn't quite make it to major. I made it to captain, district captain. But yeah, I set that goal, and I did everything I could to reach that goal.
Yeah. Wow. Very cool. So what did that, that's a huge feat, becoming a captain. What did that mean to you, when you reached that level?
Well, I tell you, the reason I wanted to keep moving up, moved up from just a road trooper, master trooper, senior trooper, sergeant, lieutenant, and eventually captain. And I found that every time I moved up, I was able to help more people, especially my subordinates.
Yeah.
And that's what drove me,
Yeah.
just being able to help.
Of course.
And I could change things too in the department that benefited our troopers. And if we could benefit our troopers and make a better working environment for them, that would carry over into the people they dealt with in the public.
Yeah.
Because if you are too rigid, which the Highway Patrol is pretty rigid, the academy is very, very tough. The attrition rate is not really good. But if I could pass that on, compassion to my subordinates, I was hoping that would trickle down to the people they dealt with.
Yeah.
Because you get people coming across the state, we'll say from California, traveling from west to east, and maybe the only encounter they ever have of anybody from law enforcement could be one of my troopers.
Right.
And if one of my troopers pull them over and it's very harsh, very regimented, robotic, that's their lasting impression. And on the other hand, if they're getting pulled over and they look in the rearview mirror and see this person come out of the vehicle, this trooper, they're overweight, they're slouchy looking, you know, they're not well kept, that's the lasting impression that they're going to have, not
Yeah.
only of my department, but of everybody in the state of Tennessee.
Mhm.
So that has a lasting impact. Just that one encounter will have a lasting impact.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
I tried to change that
Mhm.
the best I could, and I think I did.
Yeah.
I think I had a positive impact.
Absolutely. So would you say that kind of represents your leadership style in a way, kind of leading with emphasizing, you know, the importance of, I guess, the presentation and the importance of being compassionate in the field and all that good stuff, and really just trying to, it sounds like that kind of represents one of your main goals when you were in that position, to leave it better than you found it, per se?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because when I first came on the highway patrol, it was a much different patrol. Old school, we'll say.
Mhm.
I'm sure you've heard that term, old
Yeah.
school. The supervisors that I had were old school.
Mhm.
It was black or white. There was no gray, black
Mhm.
or white. If you got pulled over, you got a ticket.
Right.
It didn't matter what your story was, you got a ticket. So, yeah, I definitely, going through that with them and seeing how their leadership styles were, I wanted to change that
Yeah.
for the positive.
Yeah, so that almost had a positive effect on you, you know, learning from these people who've come before you, being able to adapt that into something better for the next, we'll say, generation of troopers, per se. So, you know, getting into kind of a little bit more of your work in the field, do you know, is there a moment that really stands out to you, let's say a moment that you kind of felt like you really had to be in touch with your skills, per se, you know, you had to make a decision based off of not a lot of information, or kind of split second, I guess? Is there anything that kind of comes to mind like
Oh my
that?
good. I don't
Too
mean
many
to
to
laugh,
count.
but there's so many over the years.
Yeah,
I took some notes too, so.
great.
Okay, yes, one of them, it's, I don't know if you heard about the Jonathan, I may get a little emotional on this one. There was a deputy in Loudoun County, and I think it was in 2008, his name was Jonathan Scott, or I'm sorry, Jason Scott. Jason was responding to a domestic violence call.
Mhm.
Now, I had never met Jason before in my life. I had no idea who he was. Just heard the name. In law enforcement, you know names.
Sure.
And then with the highway patrol, we work in a lot of different departments.
Mhm.
So I get a call over the radio that there was a deputy responding to a domestic call in Loudoun County, where this young boy, I think he was 15 years old at the time, had assaulted his mother with a what was described to us was a fence post, struck her in the face.
Mhm.
So Jason and a couple other Loudoun County deputies responded to the scene.
Mhm.
This is out in a rural area, very rural area. The house was on top of a hill with a long gravel driveway. Jason was the first officer to respond. He turned up the correct driveway. Now this is out in the middle of nowhere. He turns up the right driveway.
Mhm.
The officers behind him passed the driveway. So now Jason's headed up the hill to a domestic by himself,
Mhm.
basically, until
Wow.
the other officers gets turned around.
Right.
So when he gets to the top of the hill, he starts to exit his vehicle. He gets 1 foot outside of the door. And the 15-year-old that assaulted his mom had barricaded himself in the house. He had shot Jason in the chest. Jason had his vest on, but where he was shot on the right side, under his vest.
Mhm.
It went from right to left
Oh my
with a
gosh.
high-powered rifle.
Wow.
So he hits the ground.
Mhm.
The other officers that was responding with Jason attempted to get to Jason. Wasn't sure if he's alive or dead. This kid starts shooting at them, so they retreat and take cover. By the time I get there, it's myself and a few other deputies. I think Knox County had responded. Of course, me, the THP, and a few other departments responded. Since this is out in the middle of nowhere, we wanted SWAT there so we could try to retrieve Jason. Again, we didn't know if he was alive or dead. So we had to think of something quick. So what we did was we didn't have an armored vehicle like a SWAT team would have. So we took our vests off, our bulletproof vests off, and draped them over the windows on the side of the car. And we designated one individual to drive the car. I would be in the front seat providing cover fire. And then there would be 3 officers in the back seat that would actually get out and retrieve Jason. So as we're traveling up the hill, we were looking for the kid to start shooting at us at any moment. Mind you, none of us in that vehicle had ever trained together. It was just instinct.
Yeah.
Okay, but we had to think of something quick, so that's why we took our vest off. Because SWAT was going to be about 45 minutes or so before they could get there, and Jason, we were afraid, was going to bleed out. So as we get to the top of the road to retrieve Jason, I open the passenger side door and I provide cover. 3 officers in the back exited the vehicle and pulled Jason into the back seat. And we had to back down the driveway. So it was excruciating. You know how it is trying to back anyway out of a parking spot. Now he's the guy driving.
Yeah.
Was trying to back down a very long driveway. So that was a split-second decision that we made. Unfortunately, Jason died of his wounds.
Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible. I hate that it ended that way for him, but I mean, it really is. It's amazing, almost like you said, that you all had never worked together before, but with the combination of your all skills and then working towards this common goal, you were able to retrieve him and, you know, accomplish what you had aimed to. So wow, that really is amazing. You know, thinking about when I was sitting down to write these questions, I was kind of thinking about, you know, that you all do see so much heavy stuff, you know, day to day, but like in situations like that, when it's super intense, you know, how do you communicate with people and you know, earn their trust almost so that you can achieve that common goal?
You know, trust is the cornerstone of leadership. If you don't have trust, you don't have anything. It's hard to build a team without trust. But in that particular, and I'll give you some other scenarios, but in that particular instance, I was dealing with other supervisors at the time. These supervisors are take charge people. They don't sit around waiting on somebody else to make a decision. So we all trusted each other because we all were supervisors. We all knew that, hey, this guy wouldn't be a supervisor if his department didn't trust him. So that was a no-brainer for us.
Yeah.
We knew that right off the bat.
Yeah.
But so let's see, look at some of my notes to help you, to give you something else.
I will say, before we really advance any farther, I would love to hear your perspective from the Gatlinburg wildfires of 2016. I think you were pretty involved in that and the effects of that. So could you just tell us a little bit about that and your experiences?
Absolutely, and that may help you too with the whole trust building trust. As you know, in 2016 there was the Gatlinburg wildfires. Okay, at the time, I wasn't a district captain; I was a lieutenant. I was an administrative lieutenant working directly under the captain, running day-to-day operations and that kind of thing. Well, within the Knoxville district, kind of give you a breakdown. The Knoxville district, we have 11 counties inside the Knoxville district. Okay, people hear Knoxville district, they think it's just Knoxville or Knox County. There's 11 counties, and we have, at the time, we didn't have that many troopers So a lot of times, a lot of these troopers are working by themselves,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So anyway, I get a call, so I respond to the scene, and this was very early on. This had just happened. We didn't really hadn't had a chance to set up a command post or command center.
Mm-hmm.
So when I get there, I was handed a small piece of paper that had a couple of names on it, and I'm like,
Wow.
what is this? And I was like, well, these are some of the troopers you have here that's at the scene.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, where are they? We need to account for our people. Where are they? What's their task? What do you have them doing? I didn't get the answers to that. So that really infuriated me,
Mm-hmm.
because I want to know where my people are, where we can deploy our people and our resources.
Right.
So I did a roll call at the time, and I started taking copious amount of notes
Mm-hmm.
as I go, where everybody's located, where people were that were stranded, couldn't be rescued.
Mm-hmm.
I had to get a game plan together, and I had to get a game plan together quickly.
Right.
If you don't have a clear game plan, a clear operation, you're not going to get anybody to follow you
Mm-hmm.
at all. They're not going to trust you. You can't just ad hoc
Yeah.
that. So I called in more troopers and developed a plan to where I also called in our strike team, two of our strike teams. And those strike teams consist of, I think at the time we had 10 or 12 troopers that were on the strike teams.
Mm-hmm.
So I called both strike teams out. These strike teams are led by other lieutenants and sergeants.
Mm-hmm.
Called them out, so we developed a plan to where we would do a grid search of certain areas that we could reach.
Yeah.
Mind you, we are not firefighters.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have everything a firefighter
Right. The
has.
gear and yeah.
No, we got the pretty little round hat, the pretty shoes and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But our strike team, they are trained to search for people.
Mm-hmm.
They are trained to do that. So anyway, to get back to the whole trust thing and the Gatlinburg wildfires,
Mm-hmm.
we developed a plan. Of course, the other lieutenants and sergeants as well, we included them in the plan. That gives them some ownership too in the plan. They would take that back to the troopers, say, hey, this is our objective. This is
Mhm.
what we're going to be doing.
Yeah.
That makes them feel better. They're like, okay, now we know what we're doing. We know what our ultimate goal is. And
Right.
at the time, it was a search and rescue. There's different phases, okay? At the time, that was a search and rescue. We search for people, we rescue them.
Mm-hmm.
So just having that plan right off the bat, got a lot of trust and respect from not only the supervisors, but from the troopers.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't go into a situation like that being scared. You don't want them to see you nervous.
Right,
I was
yeah.
nervous as hell at the time. I
Oh,
mean,
absolutely.
really, I had limited resources.
Absolutely.
I didn't have my own command post. We have a mobile command post that we
Mhm.
usually send out in situations like that. That mobile command post was about 2 hours away.
Yeah.
So I had to think of something quick. So we put a game plan together. We started doing grid searches.
Mm-hmm.
Pulled out a map, made the grids. Hey, you search up here in this grid. This team search this grid.
Mm-hmm.
Communicate on when you have those searches done, when you've actually found people. If you come across a house that's completely burned to the ground,
Mm-hmm.
they would have a paint can, orange paint. Of course,
Mhm.
most troopers will have orange paint in their car to mark point of impact and that kind of
Yeah.
thing when they investigate crashes.
Mm-hmm.
So they would mark each place on the curb or wherever they could. They would put a V,
Mm-hmm.
and that would let other searchers know that somebody's been there to check the property to see if
Mhm.
there's anyone alive.
Yeah.
So that was one aspect of what had happened and how we built trust.
Absolutely. And that kind of goes back to what we were kind of touching on earlier about having to make decisions kind of in a split second. And just, I know you said that a lot of the tools that you normally have to help you, like that mobile station, I forget.
Mobile
what
command?
Yes, yeah. Your mobile command wasn't there, so all you really had to rely on was your people and your own skill, So that's Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
And I'll add this too. You have to know your personnel. You have to know what they're capable of.
Yeah.
You may have some people that's in that position that can't handle certain things.
Mhm.
You put them in areas to where you think would best fit the situation, we'll say.
Mhm.
You don't want to put them in a position to where they simply can't handle it.
Right. Right. And throughout this course, actually, we've heard from some other law enforcement officers and first responders, people like that, and that's actually, it's funny you mentioned that because that's kind of been an overall theme in a few instances that you know, you really have to be in tune with your, let's say, subordinates, the people you're working with, and really recognize their strengths and where they're going to best fit. So I like that you mentioned that because we've actually talked about that quite a bit.
Yeah, that's important to leverage their strengths.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of just thinking about it, you know, you're retired now, but has, you know, working in law enforcement for so long, has that affected, you know, the way you think or like your perception, the way you approach things just in general at all, do you think?
I've been called cynical at times, and I think that's because of the job. I've seen
Yeah.
the good and the bad in people.
Yeah.
But I still believe in people. I still believe in the good of people. And I think people are genuinely good-hearted.
Yeah.
They may not show that, but I think people still care for each
Yeah.
other. But I have noticed, and you'll find this out too, when you talk to other, whether it be military or anybody in law enforcement. When I go to a restaurant, I have to sit facing the door.
Yeah.
I
I've
have to
heard
know
of
where
that
all the
before,
exits are,
yeah.
and that actually can be looked at as a sign of PTSD. And I think that's a very, very good topic that should be broached with law enforcement, because a lot of times that's kind of swept under the rug. I know with our department we have, of course, we have EAP, Employee Assistance Program, but we also have trained debriefers that will come in, and these are troopers that's trained to debrief. So when we go through like the wildfires, shootings, and that kind of thing, it's not mandatory that we do that. But if you can go in and speak with another trooper that's been there, done that, so to speak, you can kind of let your guard down.
Yeah.
And that helps quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't mean to get off topic,
No.
but that's
No,
that
I'm
popped
here
in my
for
head.
it. Yeah, and we've actually, there was a firefighter. We listened to kind of his testimony and some of his experiences, and that's one thing he touched on was how much value is in kind of just stepping back after the job is done per se, and really debriefing and opening up to people, you know. So yeah, that's great. Is there anything, just thinking about it, is there anything that you kind of would want people to know, just anything at all, people to know who don't have any kind of first responder experience, never worked in law enforcement, anything like that, that, you know, the average Joe like me wouldn't think about? Anything, any words of advice even per se?
Well, I'll say this: your law enforcement officers are people. They have wives, husbands, significant others. They have kids. They have interest. They watch football. I mean, they're just common individuals with a very, very difficult job to do. So, I would say give them a little grace.
Yeah.
That goes a long way. I've pulled people over before for speeding, we'll say, and first words out of their mouth is, why did you stop me? Why didn't you stop the other guy? I'm like, well, because you were driving faster than the other guy. But they start off aggressive.
Yeah.
Well, if you, as a police officer, as a trooper, escalate as well now you're stair-stepping. So what I would teach my troopers is, if they went up a couple of notches, you come down a couple of notches. It's called verbal judo. So that can de-escalate things real quickly. But when they start that hey, it wasn't me and that kind of thing. And
Mhm.
if you got a trooper matching him or going one step above, pretty soon
Yeah.
you're gonna be fighting on the side of the interstate.
Right.
So, but I would tell people to give officers a little bit of little bit of grace. They see a lot throughout the day.
Mhm.
It's not like the military. You know, I went to war. I've seen a lot of stuff. I was in theater for 6 months, seen a lot of bad stuff. Got to come back home.
Mhm.
That was the end of that. 30 years in law enforcement, you see bad stuff every single day, and
Right.
you have to deal with it every single day.
Mhm.
So, you know, a lot of times when you get pulled over, you don't have a clue what that trooper or officer has just been through.
Mhm.
You know, I've worked crashes before where an entire family been killed.
Yeah.
I've watched people burn to death in vehicles. I've watched a kid burn to death that I wasn't able to pull him out,
Mhm.
and just had to watch him burn to death. 17 years old.
Wow.
So, you know, after that's over with, I do my report, notify next again. Well, I'm back on the road.
Mhm.
I'm back out investigating other crashes and stopping people.
Yeah.
So, grace goes a long way.
Wow. That's incredible. And kind of as we're wrapping up here, I want to circle back towards your leadership experience. What kind of advice would you give to young people who find themselves in positions of leadership? Because I know you kind of touched on, the importance of, like you just said, giving grace and really taking, what you're thrown into and turning it into something better than you found it. So what would you say to somebody who kind of finds themselves in a position of leadership that kind of can be difficult like that?
Don't have a God complex.
Mm-hmm.
You know, be humble. I think being a humble leader, people will respect that.
Mm-hmm.
Carry yourself in a way to where others will respect you. The same thing I was talking about earlier. When you look in your rearview mirror, you see a trooper exiting his vehicle,
Mm-hmm.
and you see he's not dressed very. His uniform's hanging off of him. His hat's not right. That's why you see a lot of troopers when they come out of a vehicle. First thing they do is they're adjusting their belt. They're adjusting their hat. That sets the tone right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
That sets the tone, and that's what you need to do as a leader, is set the tone. I'll give you an example. My first meeting as a district captain, I had sergeants and lieutenants come to my meeting. They show up. Most of them show up as you see me right here.
Yeah.
I've got a pen. I've got a paper. I'm ready
Right.
to take notes.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them show up empty-handed.
Mm-hmm.
So I let them know right off the bat. If you come to my meeting, bring something to write with,
Mm-hmm.
because you're telling me that you could care less what instructions or directions that I'm given, because you're going to leave here and forget half of it.
Right.
So I wasn't trying to be pardon my language, but I wasn't trying to be a butthole.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to set the tone right
Yeah.
off the bat, and that set the tone. The next few
Yeah.
meetings, they came with their laptops, they came with pen and paper, ready to write. But I think being humble, to circle back, I think being a humble leader,
Yeah.
looking the part,
Mm-hmm.
your professional appearance has a whole lot to do with it, and how you handle yourself,
Mhm.
especially in stressful situations.
Yeah.
Don't lose your composure.
Mhm.
You'll feel like losing your composure, but you can't.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to rely on others, and you can't. And I found this out during the wildfires. You can't take on everything. You can't take on all the responsibilities. You have to delegate. So find your leaders that you know is going to step up and delegate some of the tasks that you have. Unfortunately, with the Highway Patrol, we have a lot of things on our plate. So we have to delegate quite often.
Oh yeah, that's great advice. I definitely agree. That the mutual respect goes a long way for sure, and that's yet another thing that we've really touched on this summer with this class is the importance of saying, hey, I can't do all this by myself. I need help, and not being afraid to call on others for help. So,
And
yeah.
I would add too, don't demand respect.
Right.
You have to earn that respect. Don't demand it. If you go in and you're trying to demand that respect, you're not going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm speaking from the highway patrol. It may be different in other places, but it's not going to work within our department.
Yeah.
You don't demand it.
Yeah.
You earn it.
Well, and I feel like a lot of what you just said, I feel like that carries over to a lot of law enforcement, yes, but real life too. You know, I mean, even just if you were to work in an office like this, you know, you have to earn others' respect and instill your respect in them and all that good stuff. So I think that's just something that's interesting to me, is everything you just said is so widely applicable per se.
If you say you're going to do something, I hate to keep harping on this.
No, you're fine.
If you say you're going to do something and you have a plan and you tell your people that this is what's going to happen, this is what I'm going to do,
Mm-hmm.
follow through with it.
Yeah.
If you don't, they're not going to respect you. They're not going to follow you.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think just based off of what you've told me, you've led a pretty impressive career, I would say. And I think that you definitely reflect a lot of those, you know, values and kind of core, I guess, principles per se, as far as leadership and, you know, looking after those around you, those under you. So yeah, that's very impressive, and I feel very lucky to have talked to you today and gotten a little more insight and seen your perspective and your side of things, because like I said, you know, I'm a regular girl off the street. I don't have any of the experiences you have, so I really appreciate you offering your wisdom and your knowledge to me. I hope you enjoyed talking with me. I really had a great time hearing from you and learning about your experiences and all.
Very good questions. Very thoughtful questions. So, no, very, very good